The afternoon sun hung low over the mountains of the Haitian countryside. The goats bleated and children ran barefoot in the dust. Inside a small mud house, Marie-Claire, Maurice's mother, sat on a wooden stool. Her hands were rough from working the fields. In front of her stood Madame Elise, a plump woman from Port-au-Prince, dressed in bright clothes and gold jewelry. Elise's voice was smooth, almost sweet. "Your little girl is bright. She shouldn't waste her life here in the mountains. Bring her with me to Port-au-Prince. I will treat her like my own. She will eat well, sleep well, and I'll put her in school. One day, she will be a fine young lady." Marie-Claire's tired eyes softened with hope. "You would do that for her? Truly put her in school?" Elise smiled. "Of course, I know how hard life is for you here. Let me help. In the city, she will have opportunities. Don't you want more for her?" Maurice stood in the corner, clutching her rag doll. She looked up at her mother with wide, uncertain eyes. "Mama, will I really go to school?" Marie-Claire stroked her daughter's cheek. "Yes, my little one. You will read books. You will have a better life than I ever did." She turned to Elise. "Please take care of her. She is my only treasure." Elise patted her shoulder. "Don't worry. I promise I will take good care of her." The next morning, Maurice's belongings fit into a small cloth bag. Just one faded dress and her rag doll. Her mother hugged her tightly, tears streaming down her face. "Be strong, my daughter. Remember, Mama loves you." Maurice whispered, "I love you too, Mama." She climbed into the back of the truck with Elise. As the engine roared, she waved until her mother was just a blur in the distance. Her heart pounded with fear and excitement. She whispered to herself, "I will study. I will make Mama proud." Port-au-Prince was noisy, crowded, and nothing like the mountains. Maurice's eyes darted everywhere, cars honking, vendors shouting, children running in the streets. When they arrived at Elise's big house, Maurice gasped. She had never seen a house with 2 stories before. But instead of being shown to a bedroom, Elise pointed to the back door. "You will sleep there, on the mat near the kitchen." Maurice blinked. "But where is my school?" "Mama said—" Elise's smile disappeared. Her voice turned cold. "Forget school. You are here to work. From today you will cook, clean, wash, and fetch water. You are lucky I even feed you." Maurice's small heart sank. She clutched her rag doll to her chest. But you promised." Elise snapped. "Children like you don't get promises. Now move." That evening, Maurice met Claudin, Elise's 12-year-old son. He looked her up and down and sneered. "So you're the little servant Mama brought? Good. From now on, you do what I say." Maurice whispered, "But I'm younger than you." Claudine grinned wickedly. "Doesn't matter. You belong to us now." He shoved his muddy shoes at her. "Clean them." Maurice hesitated, and he pushed her to the floor. "Do it, or I'll tell Mama you refused." Shaking, Maurice took a rag and began scrubbing. Tears stung her eyes, but she bit her lip in silence. From that day forward, she not only worked for Elise, she became Claudin's shadow, forced to carry his schoolbooks, wash his clothes, and fetch him water, while he bragged that he was the master. Late one night, after washing clothes until her small hands bled, Maurice curled up on the mat by the kitchen door. She clutched her rag doll, her stomach empty. She whispered into the darkness, "Mama, they lied to us. There is no school, no better life, only work, only pain." Her tears soaked the ragged cloth. In that moment, she realized the promise had been nothing but a trap. And yet deep inside her, she held on to one fragile hope, that someone, someday, would see her pain and set her free. The next day, the rooster hadn't even crowed when Elise's voice rang through the house. "Maurice, wake up. Light the charcoal, start the fire. Claudin needs his breakfast before school." Maurice scrambled from her mat, her eyes heavy with sleep. She lit the charcoal stove, coughing on the smoke, then ran to fetch water from the cistern. As she carried the bucket inside, Claudin sat at the table yawning. "You're late," he muttered, rubbing his eyes. "My eggs better not be cold." Maurice placed the plate in front of him, her small hands trembling. He sniffed. "This bread is too hard. You eat it." She looked at the bread, stale and dry. Her stomach growled, but she whispered, "No, it's for you." He smirked. Exactly. So eat it, like the dog you are. When she hesitated, he shoved it in her hand. Elise entered just in time to see her holding it. Her face twisted with anger. You dare eat before my son? No, madam. He gave it to me. Silence. Elise slapped her, the sound echoing through the kitchen. Claudin leaned back in his chair, satisfied. Every morning, Maurice carried Claudine's schoolbooks in a bag heavier than her own body. He strolled beside her, clean and proud, while she struggled to keep up. At the gate of the school, he would snatch the bag from her arms. Now go home. You're too dirty to be seen with me. She would walk back alone, tears burning her eyes, watching other children with uniforms and notebooks. She wanted so badly to be one of them. One day, as she lingered outside the schoolyard, a little girl her age smiled at her. Why don't you come inside? Maurice whispered, I'm not allowed. I'm not like you. The bell rang and the girl disappeared inside, leaving Maurice staring through the bars like a prisoner. At the market one Saturday, Maurice carried 2 heavy baskets while Claudine walked empty-handed. He barked orders at her. Hurry up, you walk like an old woman. Her legs buckled, one basket tipped, spilling vegetables into the dust. Claudine raised his voice for everyone to hear. Look at this stupid girl, she can't even carry food without dropping it. Vendors turned their heads, some laughing, some whispering, Restavek. Maurice's face burned with shame. She tried to gather the vegetables quickly, her hands shaking. Claudine kicked one tomato away, grinning. Look at you, useless girl. Her throat tightened, but she said nothing. If she defended herself, Elise would beat her again. That same day, while Maurice knelt to pick up the scattered vegetables, she felt a shadow fall over her. A deep voice said softly, Little one. Are you all right? She looked up. It was the well-dressed man she had seen once before, the one with kind eyes. His name was Jean-Baptiste Duval, though she did not yet know it. For a moment, she froze, staring at him. No one ever asked if she was all right. Before she could answer, Claudin stepped in front of her. She's fine. She's our servant. She's clumsy, that's all. Jean-Baptiste's gaze hardened. He looked past Claudin and spoke directly to Maurice. What is your name, child? Her voice trembled. Maurice. Claudin grabbed her arm. Don't talk to strangers. Let's go. As he dragged her away, Jean-Baptiste's eyes followed, troubled and unsettled. That night, Maurice lay awake on her mat, her cheek still stinging from Elise's slap. She hugged her rag doll tightly. She whispered into the dark, Mama, you trusted her. You thought she would send me to school. But I am nothing here, nothing but a shadow. Her tears fell silently, her chest aching. But somewhere in the city, Jean-Baptiste could not sleep either. He saw again the frail little girl with the sad eyes. He wondered who she was, why she was treated so poorly, and why his heart couldn't let her face go. Morning light filtered into the kitchen. Maurice was on her knees scrubbing the floor. Soap stung her raw hands. Elise stood over her with arms crossed. Don't miss a single spot. A dirty house means you're useless. Do you hear me? Yes, madam, Maurice whispered. Claudin sauntered in, yawning, holding his school shoes. He tossed them at Maurice, the mud splattering her face. Clean these. They have to shine before school. Maurice wiped her cheek with the back of her hand and bent to work. When the shoes were spotless, she handed them back. Claudine smirked, then deliberately pressed one against the wet floor she had just cleaned. Oops, you'll have to start again. Elise laughed. Claudin, don't torture her too much. She might faint, and then I'll have no one to do the work. Maurice swallowed her tears, her chest aching. She felt like screaming, but she kept silent. That afternoon, Elise returned from visiting a neighbor. She found Maurice sitting in the corner, quietly mending her rag doll with thread she had found. Elise's voice cut like a knife. What is this? You waste time with that trash when there's laundry piled high. Maurice jumped to her feet. I finished the laundry, madam. Liar! Elise slapped her, the doll falling to the floor. Elise snatched it up. This worthless thing distracts you. I should burn it. Maurice dropped to her knees, begging, Please, it's all I have. Please don't take her. But Elise tossed the doll into the corner and stormed out. Maurice crawled to it, holding it tight, tears soaking the faded cloth. They want to take everything from me, she whispered, even the only thing Mama left me. 2 days later, Elise sent Maurice and Claudin to the market again. The baskets were heavier than ever, piled with rice, beans, and oil. Claudine strutted ahead, barking at her. "Don't drop anything this time. If you do, I'll tell Mama you did it on purpose." Maurice staggered, her small body bent under the weight. Sweat poured down her back. Suddenly, her legs gave way, and one basket tipped over, scattering rice onto the ground. Claudine's face twisted with delight. "Oh, you're finished now. Mama will beat you until you can't stand." As Maurice scrambled on her knees to scoop up the rice, a familiar voice rang out. "Enough." She froze. Jean-Baptiste stood there again, his tall frame towering over them, his eyes locked on Claudin. "Why do you let her carry all this alone? You're strong enough to help." Claudin puffed his chest. "She's our servant. That's what she's for." Jean-Baptiste's jaw clenched. His gaze shifted to Maurice, who was trembling, clutching handfuls of rice. "Child, look at me," he said gently. Slowly, Maurice raised her eyes. For a brief moment, she saw kindness, not cruelty. But Claudine yanked her arm. "Don't talk to him. Come on." Jean-Baptiste didn't move as they walked away, but inside a storm raged. He couldn't forget her face. That evening, Jean-Baptiste sat in his office. His secretary, a woman who often shopped at the same market, spoke cautiously. "Sir, I've seen that little girl before. They say she's not their child. She's a Restavek." Jean-Baptiste frowned. "Restavek?" "Yes, a servant child. They take them from poor families in the countryside, promising a better life. But it's slavery, sir. That girl, she's suffering." Jean-Baptiste's hand tightened into a fist. He remembered her thin frame, the bruises on her arms, the fear in her eyes. He whispered to himself, "Promises. Broken promises." That night he couldn't sleep. He knew he had to act. The next morning, Jean-Baptiste arrived at Elise's home in his black SUV. Neighbors stared as the wealthy man stepped out, his presence commanding. Elise appeared at the gate, fake smile plastered on her face. "Monsieur Duval, what an honor! To what do I owe this visit?" Jean-Baptiste's voice was firm. "I saw your girl, the one you keep at the market. She is too small to carry such burdens. Where are her parents?" Elise's smile stiffened. "Oh, Maurice, her mother begged me to take her. She was starving in the countryside. I give her food, shelter, everything. Without me, she would be dead." Jean-Baptiste's eyes narrowed. "And school? Did you give her that too?" Elise's cheeks flushed. "Well, she helps around the house first. Later, perhaps." "Later?" His voice rose, sharp as steel. "She is a child, not a servant. Don't you dare hide behind excuses." Behind Elise, Maurice peeked out, her heart pounding. Her eyes widened. Someone was finally standing up for her. But Elise snapped, "You don't understand. This is our family matter. Stay out of it." Jean-Baptiste's voice dropped, dangerous. "No, this is not family. This is slavery. And I will not stay out of it." Elise's smile faltered, her face tightening like stone. "How dare you come to my home and accuse me of slavery? Do you know who I am in this neighborhood? People respect me." Jean-Baptiste didn't flinch. His eyes burned into hers. "Respect built on the back of a child's suffering is nothing but rot." Claudine stomped forward, his voice shrill. "She's ours. My mother took her, so she belongs to us. You can't take her away." Maurice shrank behind the doorway, trembling, clutching her rag doll. Her heart raced. Nobody had ever spoken to Elise like this before. Jean-Baptiste turned his gaze on Claudin. "No child belongs to you. Not as a servant, not as a shadow. You walk free with schoolbooks in your hands while she carries your burdens. And you laugh at her tears." Claudine's face turned red. He shouted, "Mama, tell him to leave." But Elise had lost her composure. Her voice cracked, desperate. "You don't understand, Monsieur Duval. These children, they come from nothing. I give them food, a roof, work to do. Without people like me, they would starve in the dust." Jean-Baptiste stepped closer, his voice cold as iron. "No, without people like you, they would still have dignity." The neighbors had begun to gather near the gate, whispering. Some nodded, some looked uneasy. Word was spreading. Elise's servant was being called out in public. Inside, Maurice's little hands clutched the doorway. Her breath shook as tears filled her eyes. Someone was fighting for her. Jean-Baptiste turned back to Elise, his voice calm but dangerous. You will release her. Today. Elise's eyes widened. Release? You think you can just come here and… I can, and I will, Jean-Baptiste cut her off. I have seen enough. I will not let her waste away as your slave. Elise's voice rose, shrill with anger. You want her? Fine, take her. She eats more than she works anyway. She's a burden. Maurice gasped. The words cut deep, but they also meant freedom. Jean-Baptiste extended his hand toward the doorway. Maurice, come. For a moment she froze. Her body trembled, caught between fear and hope. Elise's sharp eyes darted toward her. Stay where you are, don't you dare. But Maurice's small feet moved step by step until she was standing before Jean-Baptiste. Her rag doll was clutched tight to her chest. Jean-Baptiste knelt down, meeting her eyes. His voice softened. You're safe now. You don't have to go back. Her lips trembled. Will I go to school? His throat tightened, but he smiled gently. Yes, child. School, books, and no more beatings. For the first time in years, Maurice's face lit with the faintest flicker of hope. Elise's voice screeched behind them. You'll regret this, Duval. She's mine. Jean-Baptiste stood tall, shielding Maurice with his body. No, she is her own, and from today she will never be yours again. The crowd at the gate began murmuring louder, some clapping softly, others shaking their heads at Elise. Her mask of respectability was crumbling. Jean-Baptiste took Maurice's hand firmly in his. Together they stepped through the gate. The sunlight bathed her face, and for the first time since she left her mother's arms, Maurice felt the taste of freedom. She whispered, almost too softly to hear, Mama, I am free. Jean-Baptiste's SUV rumbled through the streets of Port-au-Prince. Maurice sat in the back seat, her rag doll clutched against her chest. She pressed her face to the window, watching the city blur past. Her heart pounded. Is this real? Am I really leaving them? Jean-Baptiste looked back at her through the rear-view mirror. His voice was calm. You don't need to be afraid anymore. You are safe. Maurice's small voice trembled. Safe. Does that mean I don't go back to Madame Elise? Jean-Baptiste's jaw tightened. Never again. Tears filled her eyes. She turned her face away, whispering, Mama, you told me I would go to school. Maybe now it's true. Maurice stepped inside Jean-Baptiste's house. It was unlike anything she had ever seen. The walls were painted bright, the floors were smooth and clean, and sunlight poured through large windows. There were flowers on the windowsills, paintings on the walls, and shelves full of books. She hugged her rag doll tightly, afraid to believe it was real. A gentle voice came from the doorway. Maurice, welcome. It was Isabelle, Jean-Baptiste's sister. She knelt down to Maurice's level and smiled warmly. Don't be afraid, TPT. You are safe here. You are our guest now. Maurice's eyes filled with tears. She whispered, I've never had a bed, or pillows, or flowers. Isabelle gently guided her to a small room with a soft bed. The sheets smelled of lavender. Maurice touched them slowly, as if they might vanish. That night she curled up on the bed, holding her rag doll. For the first time in years, she felt a little peace. Over the next weeks, Maurice slowly grew stronger. She learned to read small books, to write neatly, and to speak up. Isabelle would sit with her at night, reading stories, helping her fall asleep without nightmares. As the days passed, Maurice learned not just reading and writing, but also trust. She laughed softly when Isabelle told her silly stories. She learned that kindness could exist in the world, that a home could be safe. The next morning, Maurice woke to the soft sunlight streaming through her window. She stretched slowly, her small body still tired from months of hard work and fear. But today was different. Today she would go to school. Isabelle helped her put on her uniform. The navy skirt and white blouse felt strange but special. For the first time, Maurice looked like other children. She looked at her reflection and whispered to her rag doll, Do you see, little one? Today we go to school. Jean-Baptiste walked her to the school gate. The streets were busy, full of children running, laughing, shouting, carrying books and lunchboxes. Maurice clutched her doll tightly, her small hands trembling. A few children stared at her uniform, noticing how small and shy she seemed. One girl, her hair tied in neat braids, smiled at her. "Hi," the girl said softly. "Why don't you come inside?" Maurice hesitated. Fear whispered, "They will laugh at you. You don't belong." But a small hope whispered too. She stepped closer, and the girl took her hand, guiding her through the gate. Inside, the classroom smelled of chalk and books. Maurice's heart raced as she saw children reading, writing, and drawing. She wanted to join, but her hands shook. She was afraid of making a mistake. The teacher, a kind woman with warm eyes, noticed her. "Hello, welcome," she said gently. "What's your name, dear?" "Maurice," she whispered. "Maurice," the teacher repeated, smiling. "You are welcome here. This is a place for learning. You are safe." Maurice sat down at a small wooden desk. She opened her notebook, tracing letters carefully. M-R-I-S-E. My name. She said it aloud softly. "Maurice?" Her classmates glanced at her, curious. Some whispered, but others smiled. Slowly, a small feeling began to grow in her chest, belonging. During recess, Maurice watched the children play. Some ran, some skipped, some tossed balls to each other. She wanted to join but felt unsure. Then the girl with braids ran over. "Come play," she said, holding a small ball. Maurice hesitated, then nodded. She stepped into the sunlight, letting the laughter of the other children wash over her. For the first time, she felt like a child. Not a servant, not a shadow, but herself. After school, Jean-Baptiste was waiting at the gate. "How was it?" he asked. Maurice's eyes shone. It was good. I learned letters, and they let me play." Jean-Baptiste smiled softly. "I'm proud of you, Maurice. You are brave. Keep going." That night, Maurice sat on her bed, her rag doll beside her. She whispered into the dark, "Mama, today I learned. Today, I am like the other children. And tomorrow, I will learn more." Isabelle came to her side, brushing back her hair. "You are doing so well, Tipitite. You are strong. Remember, learning is your power." Maurice nodded, holding her doll tightly. She felt a warmth in her heart she had never known. Hope. Days turned into weeks. Maurice woke each morning with the sun, her small hands brushing the soft sheets of her bed. She dressed carefully, her uniform always neat, her shoes polished. It was strange and wonderful to take her time instead of running, carrying, or cleaning like before. At school, she began to notice small joys, the sound of laughter echoing through the playground, the smell of chalk on blackboards, the crisp pages of books waiting for her fingers to trace the letters. Slowly, Maurice began to speak more in class. She whispered answers at first, afraid she would be wrong, but the teacher smiled and encouraged her. "Yes, Maurice, that is right. Very good." The small praises felt like sunlight breaking through the clouds. Her chest swelled with a new, fragile pride. She was learning. She was not invisible anymore. At home, Isabelle would sit beside her, reading stories about faraway lands, about brave girls and wise men, about dreams coming true. Maurice clutched her rag doll and listened, feeling warmth bloom in her chest. Jean-Baptiste would sometimes watch her quietly, his eyes full of careful pride. He knew her scars were not only from her body, but from her heart. He knew that healing would take time, patience, and love. And yet each day Maurice grew a little stronger. She could open a book without fear. She could laugh without hiding. She could trust people again, slowly, carefully. The days passed slowly but beautifully. Maurice woke each morning to the soft light. School became a place of small victories. At first, even reading a single sentence felt like climbing a mountain. But each day, she traced letters with more confidence. She whispered new words to herself. Live. Pencil. Friend. The words tasted like freedom. One afternoon, during art class, Maurice held a crayon in her small hand. She drew a picture of the mountains she had left behind, goats grazing, children running in the dust, the tiny mud house where her mother waited for her. The teacher came by and smiled. Maurice, this is beautiful. You've captured something very real. Maurice blushed, hiding her face, but a warmth spread through her chest. For the first time, she saw that her thoughts, her feelings, her small talents mattered. After school, Jean-Baptiste waited patiently at the gate. He would smile when he saw her small, tired face light up. "How was your day?" he asked gently. Maurice's eyes shone. I read a story today, and I drew a picture. Look, Monsieur Duval." She held up a crumpled, colorful sheet of paper. Jean-Baptiste examined it carefully. "This is wonderful, Maurice. You are learning so much. I am proud of you." That evening, at home, Maurice sat by the window with her rag doll. She whispered stories to it, stories about the children she saw at school, the friends she made, the laughter she heard. She imagined a future where no child had to suffer like she did. Sometimes, the memories of Elise's house crept into her thoughts. She remembered the heavy baskets, Claudine's shouts, the loneliness, the fear. Her chest ached, but she whispered to herself, "That was then. This is now. I am safe. I am learning. I am free." With each day, Maurice discovered new joys, the taste of fresh bread, the smell of ink on paper, the feel of soft sheets, the sound of laughter around her. These were small things, simple moments, but they were treasures. The girl who had once been a shadow in Elise's house was slowly stepping into the light. Her heart began to believe in hope again. She was no longer just surviving, she was living. Weeks became months. Maurice's small body grew stronger, and her spirit began to stretch after years of fear and work. Every morning, she woke with the sun, brushing her hair, tying her uniform, and walking to school with a heart that no longer trembled with dread. At school, the lessons became easier. Words that had once seemed strange now rolled off her tongue. She read stories aloud, and the teacher's approving nod made her chest swell with pride. One afternoon, she helped a classmate who had dropped her books. "Here," Maurice said softly, handing the scattered papers back. "Thank you," the girl smiled. "I'm Lila. You're Maurice, right?" Maurice nodded, a shy smile tugging at her lips. For the first time, she felt like a friend, not a servant, not a shadow. She laughed lightly, the sound surprising her. It felt like music. At home, Jean-Baptiste noticed her growing confidence. "You seem happy today," he said, his voice gentle but careful. "I am," Maurice admitted, hugging her rag doll. "I helped someone today, and I spoke in class. They listened to me." Jean-Baptiste smiled. "That is wonderful, Maurice. You are finding your voice." One quiet night, as Maurice lay in bed, she held her rag doll close. She whispered softly, almost to herself, "I can laugh now. I can run. I can play. I am learning. I am alive. Mama, one day I will make you proud." Sometimes, when she laughed with her classmates, she felt disbelief. Could life really be this kind? Could she really belong? "Yes," she whispered to herself, "I belong. I am Maurice, and I am free." Maurice grew stronger with every passing day. She learned to read, write, and even dream bigger than she ever dared in the mountains. Each morning, she woke with hope instead of fear. Each night, she fell asleep knowing she was safe, loved, and seen. She laughed with friends at school. She raised her hand in class without fear. She carried her rag doll, not as a shield from pain, but as a reminder of how far she had come. Jean-Baptiste and Isabelle watched her with pride. They had saved her from the life of shadows, but now she was saving herself with courage, hope, and determination. And though memories of Elise and Claudine still lingered, they no longer held power over her. The heavy baskets, the cruel words, the lonely nights, all of it was behind her. One sunny afternoon, Jean-Baptiste drove her back to the countryside. Marie-Claire waited outside her small mud house, hands rough from the fields, eyes wide with disbelief. "Maurice, my baby," she whispered, falling to her knees. Maurice ran into her arms, tears streaming down both their faces. "Mama, I am safe. I am learning. I am alive." They held each other tightly, the years of fear and sorrow melting into relief and love. Jean-Baptiste stood quietly, watching them. "Her future is hers now," he said softly. "No one can take that away." Marie-Claire looked up at him, gratitude shining in her eyes. God will bless you forever. Jean-Baptiste smiled. Her smile is enough. Back in the city, Maurice returned to her new life. She went to school, learned with joy, and slowly healed from the years of pain. Each day she discovered new wonders, the taste of fresh bread, the warmth of soft sheets, the laughter of friends, the feeling of sunlight on her face. And at night she whispered to her rag doll, "They tried to break me, but I survived. One day, I will help other children like me. One day I will make sure no promise is broken again." The little girl who had once been a shadow in Elise's house was now stepping fully into the light. She had found safety, love, and hope, and with it, the power to dream. Maurice's life was proof, even after the darkest suffering, freedom, love, and hope can bloom again. Dear viewers, how many children like Maurice are out there right now, hidden behind closed doors, suffering in silence? If you see injustice, will you turn away? Or will you be like Jean-Baptiste, who chose to act? Remember, one act of kindness can change an entire life. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more. Thank you.